if we were actually living in a simulation, what could be like some examples that you could give that might get us to an idea that we could maybe possibly believe that we were there
Hmm.
in a
Yeah.
simulation?
So I just want to say I don't believe in the computer simulation theory, but
Sure.
let's try to think of some ideas.
Yes.
Some people will think of, like, you see stuff online of people posting pictures of what they think or videos of what they think are glitches in the simulation,
Sure.
something
Sure.
weird in the sky, but it could just be an optical illusion. We talked about one last week about one of our callers seeing the plane kind of suspended in the sky. Now, is that a plane that just has some technology we don't know about that can hover like that? Is it an optical illusion, or is it
Right.
or other people will be like, that's a glitch, because
Right.
they're thinking of this world as being comprised of zeros and ones. So everyone's like, people who subscribe to that belief are looking for things that will confirm that bias of a simulation. Other people might
Sure.
look at just strange coincidences, things that are just too on the nose,
Yeah.
like weird ones. Like, it could be names involved with things. Like, it seems like a name that was created. The one I always bring up is like an Anthony Weiner, who
Yeah. Yeah.
sent dick
Yeah. For sure.
pics.
Just
You know,
too
it's just so
too
like,
crazy to be true.
right.
You
Like when you're
know.
watching a cartoon and they have a name, like the Flintstones, of course.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case. I think there's something else happening with all that. But there are certainly people who believe that, and the people who believe that typically are really only basing that on the fact, I don't think that they have real evidence around them. And I'm just
Hmm.
speaking for the ones who've written about this theory that I know about, like a Nick Bostrom. I believe he's the guy who, if not popularized, created this idea of the simulation theory, where their evidence is basically looking at the world today and only seeing that within the last 50 years, something like a video game has enhanced so much, it's progressed so much over 50 years, that you can only imagine in 100 years, 150 years, if there's no stop to that progress in technology, that there will be a time that you could create a simulation so similar to this life that
Hmm.
it's almost indistinguishable. So
You
with that
can't
in
tell the
mind,
difference.
right, with
Yeah.
that in mind, they're thinking, what are the odds that we are already in that world? We're already in that
Right.
future, but we're inside of a simulation that someone made. And so they don't, there's really nothing. I don't think some of those people are looking around saying, this and that. Like, we see something that makes them think of it other than just the technology in the video games or computers and whatnot. So that's what they think. And my ideas about the simulation theory, if you've heard it before, my apologies, is that we live in the real world in the Nick Bostrom would
Base
call
reality.
base reality, right? You got it.
Yeah.
And like, I think we have that, but what's the simulation about it is that everyone is buying into their own point of view based on the diet
Making
they
their
have, the
own
media.
making their own universe,
Right.
kind of
Through their perception,
perception.
through the
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
they bend their reality through their social media feed.
Correct.
And
Correct.
one little example of that would be looking at the shooter earlier that we're talking about, and how everyone who is, if you're hyper partisan, you're going to hyper focus on the MAGA part of the killing. Outside, for not, of course, put the children, the children there. Everyone hopefully is talking about the dead and grieving that, but like, then it becomes a narrative, and then everyone's looking at
Yeah.
it through their own lens. So it's the MAGA thing, it's the Israel
Yes.
thing, it's, you name it, Waco,
Right.
all those things, and they become these like landmines that go
Yeah,
off into
dude.
people's brains that subscribe to certain sort of worldviews, and
Hmm.
that's kind of like one example of how I see the simulation.
Yeah.
I think it can be shattered.
Yeah, my brain used to do that all the time. Like all these different conspiracy theories, I would like attach myself to, because like I would think that like something something of it might be a little bit true, but like it would just like make me like really like attached to it. But kind of what I was like uh, kind of speaking toward is like, okay, so like quantum mechanics is kind of like telling us that like um, that like how we were just talking about each one of us as our own universe, kind
Hmm.
of in my perspective at the moment, and like this is a really dumbed down view of it, but like we are all like part of a multiverse, that all of our perceptions make up a whole, like the whole thing. And I think that the government tried to experiment that, and that 9/11 could have been like an actual experiment for the government to test to see whether or not these, like, we are all connected
Hmm.
through one giant consciousness, like and they call it the Global Consciousness Project, and you can look it up on online. They call it pseudoscience, but it's like random number generators and stuff like that. But um, the thing about like quantum physics and quantum mechanics is that it really interests me is obviously like the observer effect and things like that. But like if what we're seeing, like if the multiverse is real, and what is it called, the oh uh the multiverse interpretation, I can't remember what it's called, but uh an axiom of quantum physics and the multiverse interpretation of things, you have to kind of perceive, and we're finding out that quantum physics works. So like quantum computers are an example of applied physics of quantum mechanics, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the quantum computing thing. I read about it,
yeah,
and
yeah, me too, dude.
I'm retarded. I'll say
Yeah,
that
me too.
publicly. But I think I'm starting to understand. I just know that they're extremely powerful, and now they're telling me that that's the next thing to take over.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm trying to write about in this like book thing that I'm trying to write, it's not like I'm not trying to promote that or myself or anything, but
Hmm.
like uh one of the things that I'm writing about is that like one of the axioms that you have to take from that, like one of the consequences, or one of the things you have to interpret is that like all if everything is possible and all things are possible through God, in my opinion, uh, that would mean that through quantum mechanics you can uh, you're able to say that the Messiah who he was. Like a lot of people like to call him Jesus. I just call him the Messiah. I don't know what his actual name was, and I don't try to whatever. But
Hmm.
if you uh, think of it in that perception of opening your mind enough to believe in the possibility that he was who he was, you might be able to grasp that concept a little bit easier
But
for people who are
you're
on the
saying that
fence.
were you saying that the computer would be able to confirm that?
I believe their predictions and their models are going to confirm that eventually, and that might be very dangerous math. They talk about types of physics that are dangerous, and I think that's one of the type of physics that they think are dangerous, not just like building an atomic bomb or something like
See,
that, but like
my problem with that is going to be like, say they do have a computer, and it's like it confirmed
mhm,
Christ was real, and
yeah,
everyone's gonna be like, oh sweet, and then it gets like a lot of Christians on board with it, and then it makes them want to believe other things it says. And like me personally,
oh
I
yeah,
don't need a computer or science or technology to confirm anything with my faith. It's actually my
right,
faith is completely divorced from all of that.
sure.
So it's like I find things like the Shroud of Turin interesting, but like the debate's always, it's real, it's not. I'm like, I
Is
don't.
it
It's
real? Is it
cool,
not?
but
Yeah,
I don't need
yeah,
that in my
yeah.
brain and
It's
heart to
possible.
confirm it. Yeah. And then, but it's always
It's
using
not gonna.
technology. Like they're using like new technology to do this, and like one week it's real, the next week it's not. And I love that conversation, but I don't need it to confirm anything with my faith.
Oh, for sure, and that's like you should have faith by um oh belief alone, not by like someone else like
Yeah, I don't need the
explaining to
material.
you in mechanical terms of how it's possible or
Yeah,
whatever. You
and
know.
I just real quick want to go back to what you were saying about like 9/11 and this kind of like
Hmm.
experience thing. That's kind of how I view all of war. Like I think they use war as a petri
Yes,
dish for humanity, and they make money off of it, and they experiment on us, and they design new technologies, and they
it's a
bring it
ritual.
home. It is a fear ritual, 100%. All of it.
Yeah.
You know, you can think of all the theories aside on all the wars and all the 9/11. You know, and
Hmm.
I have lots of theories on 9/11, but put all of them aside, they do become whatever happened. They do become a fear ritual, and they do become a way of containing dissent and eroding our freedoms. And then they build new things to control us, like the Patriot Act or
Yep.
Palantir.
In the name of national security.
Yep, and that means nothing for our security. It's just the people who
Nope.
are building those things. It's their security.
Right.
So they always do that thing. It's Waco, it's Oklahoma City, 9/11. You name the situation, and or more hyper localized ones like what's going on today. They always try to turn it into something. It's like we can't just grieve. You can't just mourn this horrible tragedy. Someone is always going to turn it into something that they can use against the public, and it's a nightmare.
Most definitely, man. That's all I wanted
Awesome,
to
man.
add
Well,
into the conversation. And I
sweet.
just
Appreciate
hope
it,
that
dude.
you guys have a great night.
Thank you. Same to you.
Appreciate the call.
Thank you. Have a good one.